It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Buffalo Beauts NWHL player Kelsey Neumann. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to play professional hockey?
Well, I think it was one of those things that growing up, being like the only girl on a lot of boys' teams, all the boys are like, oh, I want to play in the NHL. And of course, the UHL wasn't a thing. So for me, I didn't really know that professional hockey would be something I could do until actually in grad school. And obviously, Mayo Rayon played in the NHL, and being a goalie also, I'm like, oh yeah, like I can do it. I'm going to play in the NHL, but it was never something that I actually was apparently ever serious about. My goals were always more geared towards the Olympics, which never happened, but I have plenty of other experiences that I'm super thankful for. And now being a professional hockey player, I'm extremely thankful for that.
What was your college experience like going to two colleges?
My experience at Clarkson was fantastic. Like I loved the coaches. The coaching staff was great. My teammates were great. I ended up transferring because I wanted to play more. And academically, I have learning disabilities and things like that. So I was doing well at Clarkson, but I also knew that it was going to be extremely, extremely difficult for me. And it would possibly take me longer than the 4 years to graduate if I wanted to also play hockey and everything like that. So I had the opportunity to transfer to Plattsburgh halfway through my sophomore year. And at first it was really great. And I can say nothing but good things about the school itself. But after my the rest of my sophomore season and probably like halfway through my junior year, I started actually being bullied by some of my teammates, and the coach knew about it and things like that. So by the end of my junior year, I didn't want to play hockey anymore. And I actually ended up quitting. I stayed at Plattsburgh. I actually was a founding member of sorority, which does not go hand in hand with hockey at all. And I played for a women's team out of North Carolina while I was finishing up my senior year, and then graduated from Plattsburgh before I moved here to Buffalo.
What was your college experience like playing hockey at Clarkson University?
Clarkson, it was great. We were on the ice every day pretty much. Mondays were always rough. It was always a 6 a.m. But the atmosphere was incredible. The fans, the pep band was fantastic. I even remember like my freshman year, we made it to NCAAs, and our first round was against Minnesota, and we had lost to Minnesota pretty handedly, I guess, in the beginning, like earlier part of the season. And we were not happy with that road trip. It was at Minnesota and it was rough, but we were really excited to be like, okay, we're making NCAAs. Like we've got this, we're playing Minnesota. And the pep band actually drove from Potsdam to Minnesota. A few of the guys were like, yeah, we're doing it. We're going. It was at the time, it was like the start of our spring break. And we were like, well, we're playing all the way out in Minnesota. Like none of our fans are going to come. We didn't know they were coming. And then lo and behold, surprise, they were there. And that just speaks volume to the atmosphere that school has when it comes to like their sports. And I couldn't say enough great things about that.
What was it like whenever you put on your first college jersey for Clarkson?
Putting on that first college jersey, it's one of those things that you'll never really forget it. It's something that you've worked really hard for. And it was one of those moments where like I put it on for the first time and I sat in my stall and I was like, wow, I was a kid who started playing hockey in San Antonio, Texas. Like no one no one when I first started playing hockey, let alone goalie, would have ever said like, you're going to be a D1 athlete, or even a D3 athlete. And so putting on that jersey, it was a reminder that like there's years and years of hard work that are being paid off right now.
What was it like to play for the North Carolina women's hockey team?
I loved playing for the Lady Canes. Honestly, the group of girls that I first met after I quit playing hockey at Plattsburgh, it happened over that summer after my junior year. And it was one of my friends that I was like helping coach at the rink that I was skating out of back in North Carolina in the Charlotte area. And she was like, hey, I play with a group of women. Like we get to go to like we try to go to nationals and things like that. And I was like, okay, like I'll go to the tryouts, but like I'm still up in Plattsburgh, New York. Like I don't know that I'm going to be able to do a lot. And I went to the tryouts, and all the girls on the team were just amazing, and it really showed me what it was like to love hockey again. I had lost my love of the game to the point where I didn't want to watch the playoffs that year, which was unheard of. And I just really I had a lot of self-doubt when it came to my skills and things like that because of what happened at Plattsburgh for me. So to have this group of women who didn't know me be like, hey, yeah, like we want you to come play with us. Like this is going to be fun. We're gonna do this, we're going to do that. And then I actually ended up playing for them. Last year, I didn't get was the first year I really didn't get to play with them, and mainly because of COVID and the Beauts and school and everything like that. It was hard to juggle so many different things, but I can't thank that group enough for everything that they've done for me.
What was it like to win your first national championship with the North Carolina Lady Canes?
It was great because I've been to nationals a handful of times as a kid. And it's one of those things that when you're a kid, you're like, oh my God, I want this. It was a little different as an adult because, you can drink after. But no, it was a lot of fun, and it was special for me because my dad was actually like our coach that year, which I know it probably sounds funny that like adult rec league, we needed a coach, but we did. So it was fun to like share that moment with him as my head coach and everything like that.
What was it like whenever you signed your first professional contract with the Buffalo Beauts?
That was very, very surreal. I won't lie. It was one of those things that, like I said in the beginning, like for me, NWHL wasn't a thing when I was growing up. I moved to Buffalo for grad school. I went to Canisius. I'd never seen the campus. I think I'd driven through Buffalo, never really been to Buffalo, but I was like, oh yeah, like that's a really nice school. I'm going to go there. And I got in. So I was like, okay, I'm going there. And so then about a year into living here, the NWHL became a thing. And I helped out the first year when the team needed a goalie for practice because I was actually coaching with their goalie coach, or not their goalie, their head coach. I was coaching with her as a goalie coach for the youth teams that she worked with. And then I went to the free agent camp that following year, and Rick Seeley offered me a spot there and everything. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. This is going to be great. And so signing that first contract after watching like how it was for the girls that I was coaching, watching women play professionally, it was one of those moments that I'm like, okay, this is a chance that I'm going to get to make a difference for all the little girls that I see me in as a young hockey player. Like this is my chance to make something special happen for them. And so it was a really special moment.
What was it like whenever you put on your first NWHL jersey with the Buffalo Beauts?
It's another kind of like the Clarkson jersey, putting that on for the first time. You put that professional jersey on for the first time, and it's one of those things where you reminisce a little bit about like your childhood and like the sacrifices that you made, but also the sacrifices your parents made, your siblings made, like all these sacrifices that you and your family have made to get you to this point. Like this is what it's about. So putting that jersey on, like I definitely sent a selfie probably to my mom. I was like, look at my jersey. But it's one of those moments that like you want to share it with your family because it's a thank you to them. It's a thank you for the hours you drove me to the rink, the staying up and talking through every college choice with me and all of that stuff. So it definitely was a flood of memories leading up to that moment.
How has coaching hockey helped you with your playing experience?
Well, it's in this COVID time, I haven't gotten to be on the ice as much. I got on the ice for the first time actually this morning since I want to say probably since Lake Placid, but I've been coaching this whole time. So it's nice because it's one of those things where you still have to see the game as if you're playing the game when you're coaching. You have to watch your goalies or players that you're coaching in that coach mind, player mind, so that you can give them like genuine feedback. And I realized today when I got on the ice, I was like really nervous. I was like, oh my God, like, am I going to suck? Am I going to stop anything? But it was like riding a bicycle because I've been doing it so much with my little goalies. I'm like, okay, angles. Yeah. Okay. Got that. Do this, do that. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and nothing to worry. It's great. But I think coaching definitely helps because it gives you that different perspective. So now that I've gotten into coaching a lot more, I've noticed a change in my game. I've noticed that I can relax myself a lot more. I can sit back and actually, instead of just analyzing it right away, like I used to, I'm able to kind of like slow it down and say, okay, like it's in my head and think about it later. I'll review it after the game or the next day or something. Whereas before coaching, it was like, okay, I need to know what I did wrong right away. Now I'm like, okay, it was this tiny little thing, like, let me just adjust here or whatever.
How is it like to coach with your head coach on your coaching level?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, I think we've been on the ice for like a skills clinic maybe once. I think the assistant coach, Mark, tries to keep us separated because he probably knows that it wouldn't be the best thing and probably get distracted. But it is fun. Right now we're coaching with him for his 3-on-3 clinics. And I know I apparently coached a team that she like 2 weeks ago. Apparently I coached them today and the kids were definitely confused on if I was her or not. So that was really funny. But no, it's great. It's something else that like we can talk about besides just what's going on with the Beauts. Like we can talk about like, oh yeah, like that kid, he said this funny joke. Did he tell you the joke? And another way to just bond with my coach.
What is a typical game day like for you playing with the Buffalo Beauts?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, well, everyone thinks goalies are weird, but like the players probably have more superstitions than I do. Honestly, it depends what time the game is. So like if we're saying it's a night game, then I wake up later in the day and I definitely take my sleeping in seriously on the weekends. And because I don't have to teach, but I'll wake up probably around like 9:30ish at the latest on a game day because I just can't sleep. I'm just really excited. And then typically I just go about my normal day. There's not a lot that goes into before getting to the rink. Like maybe an hour before I leave for the rink, I'm like, okay, let's make sure I have everything I need in my backpack. Do I have a snack? Do I have hair ties, extra hair ties? Because I know if I don't have enough, like someone else is going to need one this day. Do I have the gum that I love to chew when I'm playing? Do I like all those like little things? And then I get to the rink. I'm typically one of the first ones there because I'm very like weird about time. I don't like to be late and we have to be there 2 hours before anyway. So I usually get there about 2.5 hours before. And I get there, I change out of the dress clothes right away because they're not comfortable. And I put on like the workout clothes and then I get my tennis balls, my racquetball. And then I also have something called a catch ball, which it's a bungee. I wish I had one in here. It's a bungee cord that like goes around your waist, but it has a tennis ball attached to it. So like you can throw it and then catch it in the other hand. It's fantastic. And I put my music in. I have a series of pregame speeches that I like to listen to first. Then while I'm doing like my hand-eye stuff, then I'll go sit in a quiet area, like stretch a little bit and do my visualization to my game music. And then after that, I go do the team warm up and I'm just as goofy as I was before I did any of my mental preparation. So by the time that I get in the locker room and I'm like getting dressed, it's not until like right before our coaches come in to talk to us. Like I'll put a towel over my head and like just close my eyes and refocus myself back. But I try to make sure I have my serious time, but also my like, okay, it's just a game, Kelsey. Like professional beer league, it's just a game. Don't stress out about it, kind of thing.
Can you talk about, of course, balancing being a teacher and a professional hockey player?
Of course, it's not easy. But I love what I do on both ends of the spectrum. It's every day I get to wake up and know that I'm going to get to like interact with kids for the day and hope that every day I hope I can make a difference in their lives some way, somehow. And I have a really amazing class of third graders this year that I love to death. And when I went to Lake Placid, they were excited for me to go. They weren't happy that I was going without them, but they were really excited. And we made a deal. I went out and I bought a web camera for our smart board, and I FaceTimed or video chatted with them a good amount, more than they needed to, but I like to check in on them. And it's one of those things where we joke that I'm like their teacher mom. So for me, it's a hard balance, mainly because of how much I care about my students. And like Lake Placid, I used a good amount of my time off to go to Lake Placid, and I still made sure like, okay, I did progress reports while I was there. I Zoomed with my class and I showed them the rink. I talked to him. One of the kids wasn't in school, and so I had a one-on-one Zoom session with him and his family, and like he got to watch part of the game with me on Zoom and things like that. And it's one of those things where there's not as much time, I would say, now for personal. When I'm in season, it's a lot of, okay, here's school time, Buttes time, going home, going to sleep. Sleep is my personal time. But right now it's the off season. So school gets a lot of focus. I come home from school, I'll do my workouts like right when I get home. I'll do like a core workout in the morning before I go. I'll come home, I'll do a workout, and then I'm typically right back into schoolwork, or I go and I coach. But it's a balance for sure. And it's a balance that I think is going to be ever changing based on COVID protocols and stress levels. But it's a balance that, as hard as it can be some days, I appreciate it, because I know that in the end it's doing something for someone else, not just for myself.
What was your time like playing at Lake Placid?
It was fun. I mean, I didn't play, I didn't dress for any of the games, but like I still had a lot of fun. My role last year was to be more of like a mentor to both my goalie partners who are rookies, and I love them to death. We have FaceTimed since the season ended, the three of us. We did a podcast while we were there, but no, it was a lot of fun. And being on that rink, on the rink that I've played at Lake Placid before. And I was in prep school. We went to a Christmas New Year's tournament there every year, and I think I was just too young and naive and not really like thinking much of it to put the connections together. But this time, stepping on the ice at Lake Placid, like I definitely had a moment where I had those connections of my goalie coach growing up being Vladislav Chetiak, and him playing on that ice, knowing Bob Suter pretty well from when I played in Wisconsin. And stepping on that ice, actually, the first thing I did when I got on the ice for our first practice was I knew that USA Hockey had put the 1980 Olympic players' names on banners and like put them around the rink. So the first thing I did was I looked for Bob's banner because he passed away, and like I just took a moment for myself and I like looked up at it and had a moment where I reminisced on the memories from being a Madison Capitals player and being at the rink with Bob, and how amazing Bob was as a person. And just, you would have never known in a million years if you had ever walked into that rink that he was on the 1980 Olympic team, just because of how he carried himself. It wasn't like he bragged about it or anything. And he's someone that like I definitely try to model myself after. And so having that moment was great. And then the Whitecaps were fortunate to have the Wild send in player cutouts, and one of them was Bob's son Ryan, who I've I've been on the ice with both of his sons, Ryan and Garrett, before when I was younger. And I was like, oh my God, I'm stealing him. So I stole Ryan Suter from the Wild section, and I ran up to where Bob's banner was, and I had Nate take a picture of me holding Ryan's cutout under his dad's name banner. So it was pretty special.
Amazing. What are some of your biggest accomplishments as a Buffalo Beauts?
Can I say being a Buffalo Beaut? I don't know. Is that not? No, I'm kidding. Well, that is a big accomplishment. It's just being a Beaut in itself. My first year on the team, I was just a practice player. However, so I think I dressed for 1 or 2 games, and that's because my 2 amazing goalie partners that I had that year were like, Coach, we want her to dress. So it was really sweet of them. But that first year, I actually was awarded the NWHL Foundation Award for my work in the community with coaching and everything like that. So that's a huge accomplishment. I would say McLevman would be an accomplishment. Because before I met Lev, I don't think I would have ever been the person to walk around a town in my goalie equipment and do random things. But now it's like, okay, I'll do it. Like we've joked about getting married in my goalie equipment. I don't think my fiance would appreciate it, but it could happen. But no, I think just an accomplishment in itself is what I have been able to do that I never thought I could do besides being a professional athlete. Like growing up and starting my hockey career in Texas, of all places, there wasn't a female hockey player role model accessible to me right off the bat. So that's one thing. Even when I was young, I always wanted to give back to hockey. I started coaching when I was like 13 or 14 years old with local house leagues when we lived in Michigan. And so I always wanted to be giving back, and being a Beaut has allowed me to do that in more ways than I could have ever imagined when it comes to the hockey community. I went from moving to Buffalo where I knew no one to now, even before I started playing for the Beauts, but I now have a million families that I could, if I was in desperate need, that I've made good connections with them and good bonds and relationships with them that I don't feel like I live here by myself. Like my parents are always on me about the fact that I go to the rink whenever they come to visit. I'm like, yeah, so-and-so's kid has a game. We have to go watch this little girl play or this little guy play. No, we're not just going to go do this or that. We're not going to go sightseeing. We're going to go watch kids play hockey. That's what we're going to do. And being a Beaut has really allowed me to kind of expand that horizon outside of just Buffalo. I have kids that I've been in contact with on a friendship level and a mentor level for a few years now that live in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, DC, and that wouldn't have been possible without being a Beaut.
Amazing. What was it like to play in the Isabelle Cup?
I was dressed. I was on the bench. Lev played. I was dressed for the second round, so the second year. So Lev played great, and the year before that I wasn't dressed at all. But both Bree and Lev played fantastic. But no, having the team make it that far is definitely amazing. And the year that we won, I'm gonna embarrass myself here. So myself and another practice player, we weren't dressed. And I think that the league learned after this, we should probably have whoever's not dressed for the game get dressed before the game ends so that if they win, we don't have them running out in their shoes. Because me and my teammate that also was not dressed for this game, we were in dress clothes, which meant dress shoes. And so I was in boots, and they flung open the Zamboni doors when the buzzer went off, and her and I go running out there to the pile with everyone having their skates on, and I apparently just slipping to the pile. So it was really funny because our captain's oh, okay. I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. But no, it was really exciting, and it was fun to win, especially against the team that being Boston with all the Olympians that they had that year. It was an unbelievable feeling. And then we got on the bus after we won, and we drove home, and I went to I think we got home at 3:00 in the morning. No, like 5:30ish, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I went home, I showered I showered and I put my hat back on because I didn't have a chance to wash my hair because I was like, if I wash my hair, I'm not going to make it to work on time. So I put my championship hat back on and I went to work, and there's definitely a picture of me during like a lunch break or something. I'm like laying on my desk with a Dunkin' in my hand and my championship hat on. So it was an unbelievable experience, and it was just a long ride home the next day, that night, I would say.
Who are some of the players that you look up to?
In our league or in general?
Yes, in your league.
Well, I definitely look up to my goalie friends. She's definitely a goalie that it's a surprise that she won goalie of the year this year. My little rookie goalies, they probably won't believe me, but I definitely look up to them. Watching them this year, just how they grew in general, with it being such a weird year. CJ was on fire every time she got in net, and it was amazing to watch her just so calm, cool, and collected. And Katie, an amazing teammate. I also definitely look up to Taylor Kersey on our team. She's one of those people that, like, her work, like, she works hard. She works hard in practice and things like that, and her ability to score is just unbelievable. There's a lot, like, throughout the league, I would say, like, we could look up to on our own team, the league, and players that have retired and things like that. Just honestly, like, anyone that's willing to do what we do, which is have a full-time job, but want to play hockey and grow the game to make the game better for the next generation, are people that I'm going to look up to.
What are some of your future plans in your playing career?
Well, I just turned 30 last week, so I'm hoping for one more year at least. We'll find out if I get to play another year or not. If last year was my last year, then last year was my last year. I would love, like I said, one more year, but I think moving forward, it's definitely going to be switching at some point from playing to coaching, and whether that's goalie coach, assistant coach, like, I'm open to all of it for sure, because it's a passion of mine and I want to be able to continue giving back any way that I can.
What advice would you give upcoming college hockey players?
Honestly, I would tell them to not give up. If this is their dream, don't give up on it, because whether you have a coach that believes in you or a coach that doesn't really believe in you, like I unfortunately had when I was at Plattsburgh, that doesn't mean that people in the NWHL don't believe in you. So whether you're a D1 or a D3 player, like, give it a chance, sign up for a free agent camp after you graduate, go to free agent camp, reach out to GMs, send them videos, do whatever you can. If this is your dream, find a way to make it happen.
What advice would you give current and future professional hockey players?
Just keep pushing through the grind, and hopefully for the future pro hockey players, you guys aren't gonna have to go through the grind that we're all going through right now. You're gonna be able to play just professional hockey as your full-time job, but right now that's we're not there yet, and that's okay. We're getting there. So for those of us that are right now and working towards it, just keep grinding it out, because the end result is going to be an amazing thing for the next generation.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
They can find me on Instagram at Little Neumy 31, so LILNEUMY 31, and then Twitter is Little Neumy without the 31.
Thank you again, Kelsey Neumann, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Buffalo Beauts.
Thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at @talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Kelsey Neumann, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.